Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today I'm going to be doing a Zombie World deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because this deck is one of my favorite decks to play because of all the amazing generic zombie support we've gotten over the years. This deck is super fun to be able to play and can make some absolutely incredible boards. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of Notification Squad, and definitely check out the Patreon on the description below for all those awesome rewards, like getting your name inscribed in a single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month you're a patron. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Doom King Ballardrot. This card is an amazing boss monster that during the standby phase, if this card's in the graveyard and there's a field spell on the field, you can special summon this card back from the graveyard, which is an incredible effect. This card is going to come back over and over again. It also has a really cool effect that when a zombie monster effect is activated, once per chain and once per turn per effect, you can negate that effect or banish one monster from the field or the graveyard, which is a really insane effect to be able to use with this card. We then play a single copy of Al Ghul Mazara. This card is really insane as a defensive card in the deck, while also getting you a really strong monster on the field. And if a zombie monster you control would be destroyed by battle or by card effect, you can banish this card from your hand or grave instead. And if this card is banished from your hand or grave, then you can special summon this card in defense position, then reduce its level by 1, which is a great effect just to instantly get this monster on the field while giving you some protection for one of your zombie monsters. And it even comes out as a level 7, which is going to help you out with a lot of plays in this deck. We then play a single copy of Jacobolin. This card is really good as a 1 of the deck just to extend your plays because you can discard a zombie monster to special summon this card from your hand, which is going to help you get some of your zombies into the graveyard. But it has a really great effect that during your opponent's main phase, quick effect, you can target a zombie monster in either player's graveyard and that monster is special summoned to your side of the field, but banished when it leaves the field. Then you banish this phase up card until the end phase, which is a really insane effect just to be able to take a monster out of your opponent's graveyard and put it on your side of the field, as well as zombie worlds on the field, both players' graveyards, and all the monsters on the field become zombies, letting you take any monster that you want out of your opponent's grave, which is really insane. We then play a single copy of Changshi. Changshi is really good as a 1-of in this deck because this card helps out a lot in this build because it's a walking foolish burial, which is just really insane. And a cool combo with this card is if you have zombie world on the field and you can get Glow Bloom into the graveyard, you can activate Glow Bloom's effect to banish itself from the grave to special summon a level 5 or higher zombie from the deck, which is going to let you special summon out Changshi. Changshi will then use its ability to be able to send Doom King Ballardrot to the graveyard, which then during the next standby phase will bring itself back to the field, giving you 2 monsters instead of 1 off of a Glow Bloom, which is just such a cool play to be able to use with Changshi, getting you 2 monsters on the field. We then play 2 copies of Banshee. Banshee is really good because it helps you get to your copy of your zombie world extremely quickly. So this card is definitely a 2-of in this build. We then play 3 copies of Unizombie. Unizombie is one of the most powerful zombie monsters ever created and just an absolutely incredible card in this deck. That it's a walking foolish burial for any of your zombie cards that you want to send from your deck to the graveyard. And it's just such a powerful effect that you can make this card level 5. You can also send zombies from your hand to the graveyard and it can level manipulate itself, which is just insane. This card is really good in the deck and just an incredible card in this build. We then play 3 copies of Shiranui Solitaire. Unizombie is so good that we basically play 6 copies of it because of Shiranui Solitaire. Shiranui Solitaire has the ability to tribute this card on your side of the field to be able to special summon out a zombie tuner monster with 0 defense from your deck, which is always going to be a copy of Unizombie that you're summoning off this card's effect, instantly giving you a Unizombie on the field to start your plays, which is just really good in the deck. We then play a single copy of Gozuki. Gozuki is really good because this card is a walking foolish burial, just like your copy of Unizombie, with a really cool added effect that if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can banish a zombie type monster from your grave and then special summon a zombie monster from your hand, which is a really cool effect just to instantly get you an additional zombie on the field. We then play 2 copies of Mizuki. Mizuki is really good in this deck because you can banish this card from your graveyard, target a zombie monster in the grave, and then special summon that target to your side of the field, which is a really good effect. I feel like 2 is totally fine in the deck. 3 has bricked when I played it at 3, but 2 is just insane in this particular build. We then play 2 copies of Gloomba. Gloomba is really an insane card. I absolutely love this card. It's one of my favorite zombie support cards ever created besides Unizombie. Because this card has a really good effect that if it's sent to the graveyard, you can banish a card from your grave to add a level 5 or higher zombie monster from your deck to your hand. But if you control Zombie World, then you actually get to special summon that monster from your deck instead, which is great to instantly get your copy of Chang-Chi on the field. Use Chang-Chi effect to be able to send a Doom King from deck to grave, which is going to get you 2 monsters instead of 1 off this card's effect. But it does lock you into zombie monsters for the rest of the turn, which is the only downside to this card's effect. We then play a single copy of Plague Spreader. This card is just a great tuner to play in the deck because you can place a card from your hand on top of your deck to special summon this card back from your graveyard to your side of the field, but it does banish itself when it leaves the field, which is a little bit of a downside, but it's still a great tuner to play in this build. We then play a single copy of Mad Mauler. Mad Mauler is great as a 1-up in this deck because it counts as Plague Spreader while on the field or in the graveyard. And if this card is in your graveyard, you can target a level 6 or higher monster that you control, reduce its level by 2, and if you do, special summon this card. Also, the player who summoned it cannot special summon monsters except zombie monsters while this card is face up in the monster zone, which is not that big of a deal because we have a lot of zombie monsters we can step into with this card, and this card is great because it is a level 2 tuner that we can go into. And this card is just insane in the deck because it is a level 2. We then play a small punk engine in this build, which is going to be 2 copies of Punk Xiamen. Xiamen is really good as a 2-of in the deck. You can summon this card off of E-Telly extremely easily and has a great ability to pay 600 life points to be able to search out a punk monster from the deck, which is always going to be a copy of Foxy Tune that you're searching off this card's ability. Foxy Tune is awesome in the deck because you can send this card and another card from your hand to the graveyard to be able to special summon a punk monster from your deck that's not a level 8, which is always going to be your copy of Deer Note that you're summoning off this card's ability. And Deer Note has a great ability that if this card is sent to the graveyard, it has a great ability to let you special summon a punk monster back from the grave, which is just a really awesome effect. I love that about this card that if it's sent from the field to the grave, you can target any punk monster in your graveyard except a level 5 and special summon it back, which is going to let you summon out your copy of your Foxy Tune back to your side of the field. And that's all done by just having a copy of Xiamen on your side of the field and paying 600 life points, which is super easy to do in the deck. It also gets you 2 level 8s on your side of the field, so you can make a really awesome boss monster, the Zombie Vampire, which is going to let you mill 4 and then special summon a monster from the graveyard from those cards that you sent to the grave. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom is just a great hand trap to stop your opponent from touching the deck, and it's an awesome hand trap this format. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start off with a single copy of Foolish Burial. Foolish Burial is great as a 1 in the deck because you're always going to want to send your zombies from the deck to the graveyard, which is where they want to be in this deck, so you can put them back on the field. We then play a single copy of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave is great just to stop your opponent from hand trapping you or you're going in for all of your plays. We then play 2 copies of Triple Tactical Talents. This card is really good in the deck because it can help you dig for combo pieces just in case your opponent does hand trap you. Because if they do hand trap you, you get the ability to either draw 2 cards, take control of an opponent's monster, or look at your opponent's hand and choose a card from it and shuffle it back in the deck. And that's really good in this particular build because if your opponent activates any monster effect during the main phase, you get to activate this card, which is just insane. Being able to draw 2 is what I usually use with this card, just so I can dig for more combo pieces. We then play 3 copies of Zombie World. Zombie World is an incredible field spell. This card has the ability of all monsters on the field and in both players' graveyards become zombie monsters, which is a really insane effect to be able to use with this card because it's essentially going to make it so they can't tribute summon monsters except for zombie monsters either, and this card can essentially end duels if you're going up against certain decks, which is really insane. This card helps out so much in the deck and is what the entire deck is based around. We then play 3 copies of E-Telly. E-Telly is so we can use our Punk engine of the deck and instantly get a copy of our Xiamen onto our side of the field by using E-Telly and go for our Punk combo, which is a really cool thing about this deck, that you basically have E-Telly as a 1-card starter to help you go in for some really good plays. We then play 3 copies of Super Polymerization. This card is insane in this deck combo with your copy of Zombie World because it's essentially going to break your opponent's board, which is such a cool thing about this deck. So if you have Zombie World on the field, you can fuse any 2 of your opponent's monsters away to summon out Dragon Necro Nethersoul Dragon, which is a 3,000 attack point boss monster that you can make in this deck by using any 2 zombie monsters on the field with Super Polymerization, essentially getting rid of 2 of your opponent's monsters on the field with Super Polymerization, which is really good. Super Polymerization also requires you to discard a card from your hand to activate it, which is going to help you get zombie monsters into the graveyard, which is really, really good. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing a single copy of Red Eye's Zombie Dragon Lord. This card is an amazing boss monster and is actually the rival of Doom King Ballardrot, which is a really cool thing about the lore of Zombie World. This card is really amazing in the deck because during your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can target a zombie monster in your graveyard, except another copy of this card, and then special summon it. And if this card is in your graveyard, you can banish a zombie monster that you control to special summon this card back to the field, which is going to get this card back on the field over and over again, which is amazing about this card. We then play a single copy of SelkyN Punisher. SelkyN Punisher is a great boss monster to be able to step into, and it's just a really insane card that can get absolutely massive in this deck. We then play a single copy of Chaos Angel. Chaos Angel is great because it's super easy to make this card, and it also protects your monsters from being destroyed by battle. If you use dark monsters and if you use light monsters, then synchro monsters you control are unaffected by monster effects activated by your opponent, which is a really insane effect because we do synchro summon a lot in this deck. We then play a single copy of Baron de Fleur. Baron de Fleur is amazing, and we did bring out the collector's rare for this profile. This card is absolutely gorgeous, but this card is great because it's a walking negate and it's very easy to make in this deck. We then play a single copy of Skeletal Dragon Felgram. This card is a great boss monster to make in the deck because if this card is special summon, you can target a monster that your opponent controls or in their graveyard and instantly banish it, which is a really good effect. This card is also a walking negate, as if a monster is special summoned from either player's graveyard while this monster is on the field, then you can target one other face-up monster on the field and negate its effect until the end of the turn, which is a really good effect. We then play a single copy of Excel Synchro Stardust Dragon. We do play a lot of level 2 tuners in the deck in the form of our Mad Mauler and Plague Spreader, which is going to help you summon out this card, and then this card can actually bring one of those monsters back to your side of the field and step into cards like your Baron de Fleur, or even step into some really powerful cards like your copy of Red Eye Zombie Dragon Lord, which is just insane in this deck. We then play a single copy of Red Eye's Zombie Necro Dragon. This card is really insane in the deck. This card is really good because it gets absolutely massive. It gains 100 attack and defense for each zombie monster on the field and in the graveyards, and when another zombie monster is destroyed by battle, you can special summon a zombie monster from either player's graveyard to your side of the field, which is an insane effect to just be able to increase the amount of zombies you have on the field. We then play a single copy of Immortal Dragon. Immortal Dragon's great because it can level manipulate itself, and it's a walking Foolish Burial, which is really good about this card. We then play a single copy of the Zombie Vampire. This card is great because with the P.u.n.k combo, you can easily summon this card out to your side of the field. And it also has the ability that when it's summoned to your side of the field, you can detach your material from this card and send the top 4 cards of both players' decks to the graveyard. And if there's any monsters sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one of them to your side of the field, which is a really good effect. We then play a single copy of Dragon Necro Nethersoul Dragon for one of our super poly targets. This card is easy to make if you have Zombie World on your side of the field, as it just requires 2 zombie type monsters to make this card, which is really good. This card also generates tokens like crazy, which is going to help you link summon. We then play a single copy of Garua. Garua is insane as a super poly target because it just requires 2 monsters with the same type and attribute but different names, which is insane to be able to use with our copy of Zombie World because this can make everything a zombie. We then play a single copy of Mud Dragon. This is what we use if we don't have Zombie World on the field. It's just a really good super poly target. We play a single copy of Yugioh. Yugioh is a great boss monster to make as a Link 4 in this deck, and it's a great boss monster in this build. We play a single copy of Vampire Vampire Fascinator. Fascinator is great as a one-of in the deck because if this card is Link Summon, you can target a monster in your opponent's graveyard and special summon it to your field in defense, but it locks you into zombies for the rest of the turn. But that's totally fine because if you can step into this card, you can step into your Absolute Zero Mayakashi, which is really good because if you have a zombie roll on the field, the card that this card summons back will be a zombie, which is really good to be able to help you Link Summon and Link climb into your copy of Absolute Zero. We then play a single copy of Vampire Sucker. Vampire Sucker is great because it lets you target a monster in your opponent's graveyard, special summon it back to their side of the field, but it becomes a zombie, and if a zombie is special summoned from either player's graveyard to their side of the field, you get to draw a card, which is basically like a free draw off this card, which is amazing. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played Zombie World before, you should definitely give this deck a try. There's so many cool ways to play this deck, and it's one of my favorite decks to play because of all the generic zombie support we've gotten over the years and all the different ways you can make this deck. It's actually one of my favorite ways to play the deck, and I just really love Zombie World. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.